Hi, my name is Blair, and I want to talk to you about how I use Qapital every day for my personal banking. I started using Qapital probably about 6 months ago. It was pretty much a brand new app, and at first it was just solely a supplemental savings account that you could have attached to your bank account. So in my case, it was attached to my Wells Fargo banking account. And it was really great. So anytime that I, swiped my debit card for a purchase, it automatically, rounded up to save that account in a separate Qapital account. And I saved a lot of money doing that. And then they came out with the Qapital debit card, and that probably changed my life. It is really cool because you have like your own spending account. It's just like a bank account, essentially. And you have all these goals that are tied to the account. So like I had one for rent. Well, I still have one for rent. I have one for my utilities. I have one for my car payment, my student loan payments, and all of the different other fun activities that I want to do here in the next few months. And so I have about 8 to 10 of those, and I reset them each month. So like my rent here in Colorado is $600, and so I set aside $150 each month, and then it goes into my little rent mini account is what I like to call them, and it's a gold, but it's like a tiny little savings account within the app, like within the savings thing, and I'll include pictures so you guys can see all this. And then, so then every month, I just know to put aside $150, and that's called the set and forget rule. And anytime that, like every Monday is when it sets, you set how much you want to go. So in my case, $150, and then it transfers that into the mini tiny bank account. And then whenever the first comes around, all I have to do is transfer that $600 back into my spending account and pay rent, which is really cool. I think I also use it for my broker fees and dues. There are just so many great things that you can put towards, and it's a great budgeting tool. It's a great savings tool, but I think that for young people learning how to save and budget, it's an even better tool. Let's see. So some of the other rules are the freelancer rule, which is, so if you're an independent contractor, like I am, you want to save, about 30% for taxes come April. And so it automatically, every time you get paid, takes 30% out and puts it in its own account. From there, then I actually transfer it to another bank, that way, with a higher interest rate. That way, I'm making money on it, and it's separate and I can't spend it. And then there's the roundup rule, which, like, if you purchase something for $10.05, it'll take the 95 cents and put it towards one of your goals. There is also the payday rule. That's my favorite rule because you can take a percentage out of your paycheck and put it towards your goals. And I use that pretty much for everything. Like, I just get my paycheck and then it's all divided out. There's also the guilty pleasure rule, which is pretty cool because like I like to go to Jimmy John's, and the sandwiches there are like $9. But what Qapital, and I do that all the time. And so what I do is I use the guilty pleasure rule to kind of curve my spending. So if you go to Jimmy John's and you swipe your Qapital card or your Wells Fargo card, like, doesn't matter which one, it'll automatically take whatever amount of money you set aside. So in my case, $20. Like, it takes $20 out of my account every time that I go to Jimmy John's, and puts it towards one of my goals. My next rule is the spend less rule. I hardly use that one, but essentially you create a budget, you come in under, and it saves the difference. There's a 52-week rule. I like this rule, but I've always done it backwards. I've used this rule a few times. Why won't it stay in focus? I've used this rule a few times because you can, you know, it comes out to like $1,800 or whatever a year. But I wish that it were backwards. I wish that it would start out at $52 and then go down from there. So, you know, you save $52 the first week, then 51, then 49, then 48. And then whenever, you know, I always like to do that one in January, and then when Christmas comes, then you only have to save $1 and you have all this money to buy Christmas gifts or whatever you want with it. So some advice to the Qapital people out there, you know, I wish there was some way to customize that. You know, if you could do it backwards, I think that it would be way better. You know, because it's always better to like save less, you know, than keep going up and up and up. And what if you can't like put $52 aside that week? Like it just goes down and down and down. Then there's the Apple Health rule, and so if you have like an Apple Watch or something, it will help you save when you achieve your fitness goals. And then there's the IFTTT thing, and I've never explored that really, but essentially if like you do an activity, like you donate to your church or you volunteer your time or something, like you can, it'll save money for you that way too. There's also Qapital Invest, which I think is really cool. You do have to pay for the Qapital Invest, and it's like $12 a month, but essentially you put money aside, and some capital wizard goes in and he or she, I'm sorry, he'll pick like the stocks that they want you to have for your goal. So in my case, I am saving $20,000 for a down payment on a house, which really isn't that much for a house around here, but just 20 grand. And every week I donate, or I put money into it, and then the Qapital guy goes in and he decides where to invest my money. And I have like a medium return risk. Like I'm not a high roller. I don't like the big risk stuff, and you can customize that. And so I'm getting like a moderate return on my money. And he deals with all of that, so I don't have to deal with it. Part of my problem is I have a separate E-Trade account, and you know, I kind of look for the trendy stocks, like this is doing well, but I have made a lot of errors just doing it on my own by myself. Overstock, for an example, completely tanked right after I bought it at like $60. So it's just like it kind of eliminates errors for you, and that's why I really like that that extra perk that you get with the Qapital. I do have a few cons, but my pros definitely outweigh my cons, and I just like to say that I would not spend my evening doing this if I didn't think that this was a great thing to invest in. I don't think there's a way to deposit a regular standard check on the Qapital app. I wish that that's something that they would improve. Mostly because you know, like most bank accounts, you know, most Wells Fargo, any of those big ones, you can take a picture of the check and deposit it. With Qapital, you can't. They're not there yet. And I think that's just because they're a young company. But I just can't figure out why they would, they wouldn't just like decide to have that feature available, you know. And it's not a really big deal because I'm paid on direct deposit. So every week, you know, I get my paycheck or whatever, but like for Christmas, you know, I got checks and stuff, and like there's no way to deposit them into your Qapital account without, you know, depositing them into a bank account that can do that and then transferring the money to your Qapital account, which I think is just a hassle. It's only on the app, so, and it's not a big deal, but there have been times where I haven't had my phone, but I have had to buy something and either didn't have enough money or needed to make a transfer to another bank or whatever, and you can only do it on the app. So then you have to go like to your friend and be like, hey, can I download this app so I can transfer money? Because I use it as my primary bank account. And I've never had to do that, but it's just something that I think people should know about if they're gonna use Qapital as their main bank account. So it's like there's no web browser. Like you can't use a web browser. Obi, stop. Sorry, that's my dog, and we're working on not barking at every little sound. He came back from Christmas vacation and just won't stop barking. Yeah, so you can only use it on the app. And my last one is the customer support. It is 99% of the way there. They have really friendly people, but I've never spoken to them in person because They only reply to like questions and like help through instant messaging. So like if you need to like figure out like something went wrong with your bank account, like a deposit didn't transfer this or that, you know, you have to text it to them essentially and be like, can you help me with my problem? And that really helps with anger management. I think it's a great idea, like so you don't just like scream at them on the phone. But it's like kind of frustrating when you have a complicated problem and you don't understand why something happened. Like the other day, this is the first time and the last time that it's ever happened. It's not a big deal. But I had made a payment for a student loan and the money went out, like the money disappeared. I didn't have the money anymore. And then, you know, Sally Mae like recognized that a payment was made or something, but then the money somehow magically showed up back in my account like 10 days later. Seriously, like the payment went through and then all of a sudden like it was like uncollected funds or something, like something weird happened, and I don't know anything about finance. I couldn't tell you how it happened, and I was hoping to like get an answer out of these Qapital gals. Like it's always girls who I'm communicating with. But she like essentially like copy and pasted some information about the code that she was getting, like when on the transaction code or something. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't understand it. You know, like you have to explain it to me in a way that I can understand it. And I really felt that was lost solely because there was no like telephone communication. And I even asked, like I asked, can someone please call me back? And there's no phone number, like there's no phone number. You can just message them. So I can see if like, you know, if you're not into the texting thing, you know, texting someone to resolve an issue, then it's probably not for you. But it's primarily a really awesome savings tool and not so much a bank. You know, like it doesn't have that, and I wish that it would. Like between the checks and not being able to access it on a web browser, and then the customer support, like I can't talk to anyone, like I can just sit here and like instant message you. You know, those are my only cons. But other than that, it is like to date probably saved me like thousands of dollars just by like managing my bank account and taking money out when I am spending. So I'm, you know, it's essentially I don't have to save, like Qapital does it for me. And I think that's something that a lot of people my age and a lot of people who aren't so good with their money, you know, I think that it can be really helpful. So that's kind of my whole spiel. I'm sorry it was long and like my camera kept going in and out of focus, so hopefully you can put up with that. I'm by no means I'm not getting anything out of this. I am going to post a referral code down below. You get $5 and I get $5, so I don't see what's wrong with that. I mean, I guess it's an incentive, but you get $5 and I get $5, so I think it's kind of a win-win for everyone. And I really want you to consider using that, because who couldn't use an extra $5? If you have any questions, or if some finance wizard wants to explain why that weird banking thing happened, I would love to hear from you, because I still am really unsure about it. Qapital is a great tool, and I think that every person who is trying to save money should either use it as a supplemental savings tool or as an everyday bank account. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a wonderful day.